Imagine AI sweeping across, throwing good, hard-working folks out of their jobs. It's a right shame, watching people lose their livelihoods to machines that didn't need a break or a paycheck.
Oh boy, ChatGPT finally, or OpenAI finally released their advanced voice models. So in this video, I will go over some of the features of the advanced voice models. I will show you how to use that to practice for interviews. And this is fantastic, actually. So that's something that I was hoping to implement back in May when they first announced it. And also at the end, we'll take a look at the new o1 preview as well. It's definitely way better in chain of thought reasoning than the previous models. It still struggles to solve some of the math problems, although it's supposed to be like sufficiently way more advanced and way better in math than I could do on the fly. Obviously, it does it very fast, but it does make mistakes. So stay tuned as we go through it. All right, so first of all, as you can see on my screen, you have a number of different voice options. And those were here before to some degree, and then through APIs, you could access some of those voices as well. But now they have improved on that, so take a listen.
Hi, glad to meet you. I think we're going to do great work together. Where shall we start?
Hey, I'm ready to hit the ground running. So if there's anything you'd like me to focus on first, just let me know.
Hey, it's great to meet you. How's your day going? I'm really looking forward to working on some cool stuff together.
Hey, I'm ready to hit the ground running. So if there's anything you'd like me to
So
focus
what I
on
did
first,
is I
just let me
selected
know.
this particular voice for my interview template, and that works fantastic. Obviously, you could try other voices, but this closely resembles to what you would probably end up with during the interview. And you know, it does imitate that a deep bass stern voice a lot better. So this is to practice that sort of stress environment during interview, and it's great, obviously, because with some of the more calmer voices, it's not as great of a stress practice. Now let's take a look at some of the examples of how these models can amplify whatever the story or narrative they have using some of the emotional things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new ChatGPT chat session and quickly share my screen. So there we go. All right. So here, what I need to do is just press that little audio button on the right side of the text prompt here, text input, and it will load the voice model. Hey, tell me a story about the AI and how it will transform daily lives of individuals and be as excited as possible.
Imagine waking up in a world where your AI assistant not only brews your coffee just the way you like it, but also analyzes your schedule, balancing meetings with optimal break times. Your AI
That's good, but can you be more exciting?
Absolutely. Picture this. Your AI assistant wakes you up with the perfect playlist, tailored to boost your morning mood. As you enjoy your coffee brewed flawlessly
Hey,
by your smart machine.
I need more excitement out of your voice. Can you do that?
You got it. Imagine this. Your AI assistant wakes you up with a custom morning playlist, perfectly tuned to get you energized. While you sip
All
your
right,
flawlessly
this is
brewed coffee.
great. This is great. Thank you. Now tell another side of the story how AI may ruin the lives of a lot of individuals by taking them or taking their jobs and be as angry as possible.
AI might seem thrilling, but it's downright infuriating how it's snatching jobs from hardworking folks. Industries are turning to automation, leaving skilled workers without livelihoods.
Can you make it like a deep bass voice, very stern, very angry?
AI might seem thrilling, but it's downright infuriating how it's snatching jobs from hardworking folks. Industries are turning to automation, leaving skilled workers.
All right, this is great. Thank you. Tell me the same story with a strong Irish accent.
All right. Picture this. AI comes roaring in, taking over jobs left and right. Folks finding themselves out of work, replaced by machines.
Make that accent even stronger.
Right. Imagine AI sweeping across, throwing good, hard-working folks out of their jobs. It's a right shame, watching people lose their livelihoods to machines that didn't need a break or a paycheck. It's an upheaval.
That's fantastic. Thank you. All right, so this is fantastic. See how it can amplify different stories, add a lot of sort of emotions and accents to different words, different things that are happening in the story. So this is exciting. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to show you the how this can be applicable during the interview practice training. Now let's take a look at some of the interview templates, and I'll pick one on the ownership from the school course we have created. So the first thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the school interview prep course. I'm going to copy that particular ChatGPT template. Again, this template I developed based on my experience being an Amazon bar raiser for Amazon for several years. And so I put some of my thoughts here into that template. So I'm going to copy this and what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the ChatGPT, paste that template in, and we're going to start the conversation here. All right, so let it process. Okay, so now I'm going to start the advanced voice. Okay, let's start the interview.
All right. Great. Let's dive into it. Why don't you tell me about a time you had to dive deep to solve a complex problem?
Yeah, so one of the issues we had was when I joined a small startup as a director of engineering, a low morale on the engineering teams, and I had to figure out and understand what's going on. So after talking to interviewing pretty much dozens of engineers within the team, I realized that their main issue is that everyone keeps randomizing them, asking them to work on different projects, and then when the leadership comes in and asks when a particular project is going to get ready, they would have to tell them that, hey, I've been working on this or that or the other, and didn't have time to work on this other project. So what I did realize is that there is no clear prioritization process within the organization. The leadership didn't know what the teams are working on. The engineers were frustrated because they were constantly bombarded with new projects, scope increases, etc., and didn't know how to prioritize their work. And the company overall missed on a lot of the deadlines. Obviously, the revenue opportunities were missed. Some of the critical customer improvement features were missed. And so I took an ownership after figuring out what the problem is, to build the prioritization process for the organization.
That's a solid example of taking ownership. What specific steps did you take to implement this prioritization process? And how did you ensure its adoption across the organization?
Yeah, so I created a forum where everyone would get together, including leadership, critical stakeholders, some of their engineering leaders, and we would run a spreadsheet listing all of the teams, their capacity, how much and what they're working on, and all of the intake projects that the stakeholders or other product managers had that needed to be completed based on their sort of revenue impact, customer impact, or other organizational impacts. Would get together and figure out where the projects can go, which team can take them, and whether a team has the capacity to take them, and if not, what can be dropped off if needed to take on this project.
That sounds like a well thought out approach. How did the team respond to this new process? Did you face any?
Anyway, as you can see, this is fantastic. It makes a lot more sense right now. So the conversation is a lot smoother, a lot more real time. Overall, I think it's a great practice for someone to try to figure out how to think on your toes and answer some of those questions, some of the follow-up questions. Now, this model, this is a 4-hour model, which has been there before, but with this new advanced voice, it makes it a lot more realistic. When I first launched this sort of template and experiment, and I shared it in one of my courses, the quality still wasn't there. It would often go on to some of the arbitrary questions and wouldn't have all that sort of emotional piece in their voice, and you couldn't really relate to it. You could kind of sense that, well, this is a robot, and it's kind of hard to maintain the conversation with the robot. So now this is way much improved. So that's great. And again, I have the school community. Feel free to sign up. The courses are not free. I do charge for the courses. I am working right now on the engineering excellence course as well. But if you don't want to pay for the course and still want to practice, this is obviously you can create your own template. ChatGPT has a lot of information. Obviously, it's been trained on the world of knowledge and understands what it takes to pretend to be an Amazon interviewer. So even if you just go with a basic template, hey, I want to practice X, Y, and Z for like Amazon, Google, etc., based on your understanding of how those interviews are conducted and what types of questions are being asked. Please help me drive that conversation forward as we practice. So this will work, and it's great. Now, I do want to kind of show a little bit the new model that came out. It's called O1. It's in the preview. And what they did is they have dramatically improved the chain of thought reasoning, so which helps with some of the programming problems, math problems. In the past, when I would ask some of the programming questions, from ChatGPT, it would often make some silly mistakes or try to convince me about something that's totally wrong, and then you have to argue a little bit to get the right answer out. Because the chain of thought reasoning wasn't as great, and you can see like how dumb the AI is still, and it's obviously it's great at regurgitating some of the information that has been trained on, but like solving some of the problems that it sees the first time around was still more difficult. So now with the new O1 model, they dramatically improved the chain of thought reasoning. They claim to be that it has the IQ of 120, which is fantastic, and it can solve a lot of difficult math problems. And as you go through, it's kind of exciting to see how it attempts to solve some of the problems. Like, hey, let's try to do it empirically. Let's put some numbers in there. The X has to be like this way or that way. It has to be greater than 0 or less than 0, or the function on the right side grows faster than the function on the other side. That means the values may intersect only at this point or these ranges. So it has all of this sort of the chain of conclusions and reasoning, which it outlines in the response and analysis, which is fantastic. It still makes some of the mistakes, and I'll show you that in a second. All right, so now let's take a look at the new o1-preview model, which is supposed to dramatically improve the chain of thought reasoning. There's some articles I saw that they're claiming that it has 120 IQ, which is fantastic. But anyway, so I tried a few things just to see how well it can solve simple problems, and I would like to share with you. This time I just focused on math problems, and feel free if you want to try to do some of the programming problems as well, and see how well it performs. Well, anyway, so the question that I had here to test was the x to the power x equals 1/2 to the power of 1/2. So that's the test problem I had for it. And I tried a few things here. So first, let me go back. Yeah, here I was testing different problems just to see how well it solves. So in the first example, this was my first attempt yesterday. And so what happened here, so it tries to simplify the one side of the equation, uses natural logarithm function, and then it uses the Lambert's W function. And eventually it arrives to this final answer to the solution, which is not exactly complete. And then I ask some other questions, which is not exactly complete, and there's a much simpler form for the answer. So then I decided to switch to the GPT-4 old model just to see how well it will attempt to solve this. So the GPT-4 just uses the empirical approach and attempts to just try out the 1/2 to see if that works, and it worked. But this is not the full answer, so obviously this is wrong, because there's more than one answer to this equation. Anyway, and let's see what's going to happen if I ask it, are there any other solutions, or yeah, solutions to this equation. Let's see what it's going to say. The other thing I noticed is some of the rendering issues for the formulas, especially on mobile device. It doesn't render the formulas really well, so it kind of uses that that notation, as you can see, as it starts typing some of the formulas, so it kind of keeps them as is. All right, so yeah, it doesn't find the other one, so which is, yeah, understandable, because in a lot of the tests it can solve only like 50% of the math problems. So let's try to switch to the other one as in the chat. So anyway, so then I'm trying again the same o1-preview model, trying it again to see if it can find a more elegant sort of answer or complete basically where it left off from the previous response. And it does a much better job here. Very similar approach. It uses the Lambert W function to simplify it and find the roots of this equation. So it comes up with the two solutions to this original equation, which is 1/2 and 1/4, and then it verifies that both work. So which is the correct response here. And as you can see, so it doesn't do it on a first try, even the o1-preview model. Obviously, the 4 model is just, it's not correct at all. It doesn't have the complex reasoning. But even the o1 model, it takes several attempts as well. Some of the other ones that I tried with the new model, some of the other more complex solutions, like for example, with a negative base, and it did a fairly good job, although it uses the generalization, the Euler's identity formula, which made the final response look a little bit more complex. It could have just simplify, remove this term out of the response, because it just it will be true for all of the ands there, so all of them will be the answers to the equation. But anyway, and I asked it to explain like why I didn't do it. I gave me actually a very good response there, saying that it's the multi-valued nature of the logarithms in the complex plane, which is correct, and overall, I think I was satisfied with its response and how it solved the problem. Although it could have been a little bit simpler. But anyway, so take it or leave it. I think it's a much better improvement. What I'm gonna do next is probably gonna try to see how well it solves some of the programming problems, some of the ones that it hasn't seen before, and look at its reasoning and how it approaches to simplify certain things or take certain assumptions and try some of the empirical things. What I found fascinating is that how it attempts to find some of the things empirically, some of the answers to the equation. In fact, let me try to find that example where it goes through a set of deductions, logical deductions, to attempt to solve the problem. And it's fascinating to watch its reasoning in all of the steps. All right, there we go. So I found this example where I was asking it to solve this particular equation: x squared to x squared equals 16 to the power x, and it goes through this set of steps where for example, here it's saying basically always, so the left side, x to the power 2, always non-negative, since squaring any real number yields a non-negative result, which is correct observation. Then right side is always positive. And it also says that the right side of the equation is going to grow faster, is in one of the further steps here. It does try to consider some of the things empirically first, just to see if there's any quick wins that it can make. So like x equals 0 is not a solution. And then it attempts to, yeah, right here it says, hey, left side is positive when x is greater than 0 and 16x growth exponentially. So obviously it's a faster growth than x squared. And then it attempts to basically using that premise to attempt to put some of the other numbers to see if it can find the root of the equation. So here, like x equals 1, obviously the 1 is not equal 16 because that's one you get on the left side, and then 16 you get on the right side. And then x equals 2, and you have on the left side a 4, and then on the right side 256. So you can see the growth on the right side is a lot faster than the left side. And then it attempts to go down from 1, uses the 0.5, and again, it's a miss. So, and then the final observation, so for x greater than 0, 16 to the power x increases much faster than x to the power 2, so they're not equal. Correct observation here. And then it attempted to look at 0, attempted to look at x greater than 0. Now it's looking at x less than 0, and attempts to plug in some of the numbers just to see if there's a quick solution here, and finally arrives to this result, like 0.25. All right, now it attempts to sort of prove whether it's the only solution or not for real numbers, and it makes this sort of set of conclusions here that essentially prove that negative 0.5 is the only real solution here, and then even puts the final answer in the square, just like our teachers in high school. It's like, hey, put your final answer in the square, so I know where to find it. It's kind of cool. So anyway, this is all good. I'm personally fairly impressed with this analysis now. So where it can shine, load in the Excel spreadsheet with some of the data and see what sort of analysis you can make. So this is one of the things that I want to try. The other thing is obviously solving some of the non-trivial programming problems, challenges. So some of the other things I'm going to do as well. So very exciting news, very exciting improvements in the world of AI.